this is Dilip. I'm from 3rd year CSE department. My register number is UR16CS094. Today I'm going to explain you about experiment number 6 in my compiler compiler lab. It is about simulation of microprocessor. Our aim is to write a program to simulate the functions of a microprocessor. A microprocessor simply takes the source code as input and expands that. A macro instruction is a notational convenience for the program. It improves the readability of the program. As you can see over here, it allows the programmer to write shorthand version of a program or module programming. The microprocessor replaces each macro invocation with the corresponding sequence of statements, which is simply the expanding. It recognizes the macro definitions, save the macro definition. These are the steps which happens when a microprocessor gets a source program as the input. First, it recognizes the macro definition, then it's going to save the macro definition, recognize the macro calls. So whenever the call comes, it is going to expand the macro call. So only when the condition gets satisfied, then only it will expand. As you can see that here we have source program, and this is the strg would be the name of the macro. Macro is the keyword, which is assembler directive, which is directly understood by the then expanded source would be this sta data1, data2, data3. How many times the macro call would happen, that many times expanded code source program will be getting over. Our algorithm is get the C program which include the macro definition. We can do it in Java, whatever you want. Even it can be done in Python. Expand the macro by replacing the macro call with macro body, and while expanding, replace the formal parameters with the actual parameters. Bring the expanded output. That is the algorithm. This will be the sample input which will be inside our code, and this is the expected output. And our question, let's get into the code so that you can easily understand. I am doing this in NetBeans using Java. I have created a package called experiment number 6 and imported some input output files. Star include that all the files of the library have been included. Similarly to print, I have been using this class, and I have created a public class called exp6, and our main function. In order to print, we know that in Java you use scanner class. I have created an object for scanner class, and by using buffer reader I am going to read, and B is the buffer reader object of the buffer reader class, and this is the path for the file to be read, and this is to write. Using the buffer writer I am going to write, and BW is the object for the buffer writer class. I have created a variable called line of string data type, and it is kept empty so that we can read the input from the user using the input.txt. And I have been using hash map to do all these things, and I have created a flag, and it is boolean data type. It is first set to false, and the key flag is also set to the false. When line equal to b.readline is not equal to none, when we are going to read the line, if it is not equal to null, then we get into these functions elsewhere. Else we would be doing this part system.out, we would print error and mismatch at line, and we're gonna replace that. As we get into the code, we have been using some flags. As I previously mentioned, the key flag is set to false, and we are going to entry. If you here we can see that we are using the split function to split the program, and to replace all with these symbols. And similarly, if it is lowercase and it contains the main function, we are going to write the line and new line, and flag is set to true. If line and contains hash defined, as we know that macro first should be defined, then it should be stored. If it is containing the hash defined, there we are going to split that, and if it contains opening parenthesis, using this split option, we are going to split out using the length, and in else part we have write line, and it is new line. As we know that BW is the object for the buffer writer class, and we are going to print the function definition table and parameter table. It is best method of practicing the buffer writer and reader should be closing that file whenever it is completed. In input.txt I have defined add access. This is the definition of that macro, and this is the program. Include a standard input dot library, and in void main function I have int a equal to 10, and if I am calling this function, this is the function call, macro call, and it would be replaced by thing. When you execute the code, you will understand. Here we have found that addx is this is the function definition, and the parameter table is add equal to 1. In the output.txt we got the expansion for that code. Thanks for watching my video.